Good morning, Judge Kemp.
Good morning.
You can take a seat and proceed with your comments when you are ready to do so.
There are many things that can shape our lives as we grow. The influence of family and friends, triumphs, trauma, a teacher or coach that finds a way to reach out and inspire, or an ignited passion. For me, the sport of football undeniably impacted my life. I highlighted 4 strengths in my written application materials to explain how my appointment to the bench would enhance the Court of Appeals: legal research and writing, work ethic, collegiality, and relevant experience. Football's influence on my life helped build my work ethic and taught me the importance of teamwork. As a football official, the sport continues to provide lessons that I take to the bench. First strength is research and writing. Carleton College was not on my radar until their football coach started to recruit me as a high school senior, but I benefited significantly from that education. I went there thinking that I'd major in physics or engineering, but I took classes and fell in love with the law. I had professors that challenged me on a personal level to improve my writing skills, and I learned the importance of developing well-reasoned and researched arguments in classroom debates and discussions. The habits and disciplines that improve research and writing skills are universal: practice, continued education, self-evaluation, and peer review. As a football official, I go to off-season clinics, I watch film, work scrimmages, evaluate my positioning and calls after a game, and I get graded for my performance. As a judge, I improve my writing and research through practice. I take continuing education, I review and self-edit my work, and occasionally I get graded by a higher court when a litigant appeals. Football changed my college path and ultimately my career path. The resulting education instilled habits and disciplines for developing my skills as a researcher and writer. Second is work ethic. I undoubtedly inherited my work ethic from my dad. I've talked about him before and mentioned him in my written materials. He spent 53 years working for the Catholic cemeteries, 42 years with the second job as a hockey official for Minnesota Hockey. He epitomized work ethic and commitment to service. While I had a great role model in the home, football cultivated my work ethic individually. I wasn't a great football player. I didn't have the natural traits, but I worked hard to improve and get better every day. My work ethic off the field exceeded my natural athletic abilities and took me to new heights on the field. Now, my work ethic as a football official continues to elevate me on the field. I study film and create rules breakdowns and study guides, so the rules are second nature and I can focus on the keys on every play when I'm on the field. Being a line of scrimmage official requires perseverance, preparation, brain power, and the ability to quickly process what you see. The same is required of a judge, and a tenacious work ethic is essential. The Court of Appeals is the workhorse of the judiciary, ruling on over 1,100 cases per year. My demonstrated work ethic as a lawyer and a judge fits this calling. During my time in private practice, I, along with my partner, built a firm from scratch, putting in long hours and building a reputation of competence and integrity. Since joining the bench, I have worked hard to improve and stay true to and dedicated to the traits that I believe make a great judge: integrity, intellect, and a strong work ethic. I lead by example. I come prepared each day, address the litigants and attorneys courteously, and redirect the focus when hearings get off track. I have a self-imposed deadline of getting my rulings out within 2 weeks of a hearing, and I work very hard to adhere to that. I'm proud to serve my role as the case law nerd of our group, and I point to cases when my colleagues are researching specific issues. It takes effort and focus to stay up to date on the law, and I have the work ethic and the passion to take on the tremendous caseload at the Iowa Court of Appeals. The third quality is collegiality. Football is the ultimate team game. There's 11 players working together to try to execute a play while 11 players on the other team try to stop them. Everyone has a role, and individual effort leads to collective success. Collegiality is important as a football official as well. A group of officials must work together to ensure the game is played fairly in accordance with the rules. Each official serves their individual role by watching different plays or different keys and different aspects of the game unfold. Strong teams of officials do what a good teammate does. They challenge each other to get better and learn from each other to elevate the group. The same thing is true for a group of judges. My time on the bench has taught me how wonderful a work environment can be when you have a group of committed colleagues who really enjoy going to work and working with each other. I've talked to at least 10 current and former Court of Appeals judges, and they all rave about the collegial atmosphere the Court of Appeals has on the 3rd floor. I understand what it means and takes to be a great teammate and could bring that to the Court of Appeals. Finally, relevant experience. Experience is important, but relevant experience is paramount. This spring, I was at a football officials clinic, and in our individual breakout session, the clinician was a Big Ten line of scrimmage official and asked how many of you watched, or how many of you played college football? I was the only one in the group of about 15 that raised my hand. He then asked, how many of you watched film of the teams before the games? I again was the only one that raised my hand. He started to quiz me on what I look for, different keys, tendencies, and the things that I see when I'm watching film. And he told the others, if you didn't play the game at a high level, you don't see the game the same way he does, and you have to work that much harder to get to the next level. Relevant experience matters as an official. Likewise, relevant experience elevates a Court of Appeals judge. I have the relevant experience to serve on this bench. As a lawyer, I briefed over 35 appellate cases. I've argued to the Court of Appeals and to the Supreme Court justices in this very courtroom. Additionally, I have vast experience at the trial court level litigating the cases that come before this court. The court system is about resolving disputes, but at its core, it's about helping people. I've counseled and sat with hundreds of clients that have been affected by the outcomes of the court proceedings. The gravity of the decisions that come before the Court of Appeals is not lost on me. The words on the pages of the transcripts come from real people looking for justice. I have been on the bench presiding over criminal trials and juvenile court hearings. I have the high-level background that allows me to see the Court of Appeals cases differently than others without my experience. I know what the job entails and how it affects the lives and livelihoods of those who come before the court. While a football player never asked to be sent to the bench, that's exactly what I'm asking you all to do here today. This time I'll open up for questions.
Thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Graber.
All right. We heard you talk a little bit about people that you hold in esteem, and I think about reputation. So let's say that you end up earning this seat. 5 years from now, people are talking about you. What do you think that they would say?
The same thing that they said in 2020 from Polk County when they did the evaluation of a judicial performance survey. I scored in the top 3 of the 15 judges from 5C that were on the ballot that fall in knowledge and application of the law, timeliness of rulings, candor, and I forget what the 4th one was. It was in my written applications, but that I treat people right, that I take the job seriously, that I try to issue rulings that are clear and give guidance.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Chase.
You and I talked about what you had done in the past year to enhance your commitment to the profession, particularly with respect to getting up to speed on case law. Can you share that with the commission?
So I've always been kind of a case law junkie, a case law nerd. This last, Polk County rotates the bench every 6 months. In this last session, I was the trial court judge. A lot of misdemeanor trials are done by Wednesday, and then there's weeks where you don't have a jury trial that week, so I had free time on my hand. So I went through and I categorized all the Iowa Supreme Court cases going back to 2020, put together presentations on criminal case law updates, presented to different bar associations, ends of courts, and really honed in my passion for the law and was able to present it to others and share case law updates.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pearson.
Thank you. When we met, you talked about your experience with the juvenile drug court. Please share with us some of those experiences.
So I mentioned a little bit in my prepared remarks, the court system ultimately is about helping people, and the juvenile drug court program is one of the best programs that we have in the state. It is kids that are involved in delinquency. We had them as young as 13 up to 18 years old that have difficult family situations, difficult school situations, and they're involved in the criminal justice system at a young age, and we don't want them there for the rest of their lives. So it was an intensive supervision program. I met with the kids at least weekly. I'd go to their schools. I'd take them out to lunch if they were doing well, but that inspired me at a point in my career. I think I was 4 or 5 years in when I got that we're going to move this forward, that we're really doing good things here. And that's something that you have to remember when you're on the bench looking at motions and rulings, that you're affecting the real people that come before you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marquardt.
to follow up on that and a comment that you made in your written materials where you talked about how you relish the daily opportunity to provide the people that come before you with procedural fairness and treat them with dignity. How would you continue that approach if you were selected for the position on the Court of Appeals?
The Court of Appeals has the duty to write opinions that are clear, that give direction, and an art form as a judge in writing is to remain neutral, to not take unnecessary shots at litigants, at attorneys, to kind of stay above board. I've had suppression hearings where I'm sitting there for 4 or 5 hours and I'm thinking, what is this defense attorney doing? He's wasting everybody's time. Now, I may draft that and share it with my colleagues about how I felt about it, but ultimately when you file it, you have to stick to the facts, stick to the law, you have to stay above board.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson,
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Parrish.
Judge Kemp, you weren't talking about me then, were you?
Oh, sir.
Judge Kemp, first of all, thank you for your application. I know you were one of the finalists for the, to the governor from 5C. What I'd like to know is what did you learn about yourself in that process, the court, and did you learn any lessons that you think would help you if you were appointed to the Court of Appeals?
Sure. Going through that commission, something that I struggle with is talking about myself. And I opened up in that speech about my dad, as I've mentioned, is tremendous influence. This spring, he was presented an award from Minnesota Hockey, essentially a Lifetime Achievement Award. He passed away last fall, and I accepted the award on behalf of our family. My mom asked me to do that. And I started out the speech by saying, if Dad was here, he would quietly thank everybody, make a joke or two, and he'd just sit down. But since he wasn't there, I got to take the opportunity to do what he wouldn't do, which was brag about himself. And I told the commission at the other level, that's what I have to do about myself. I have to set aside my comfort, I have to step outside my comfort zone. I've accomplished a lot, and I need to be proud of it. I'm qualified for this position.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hoig.
Hi, thanks for applying. One question I have is maybe some point in your career where you had a big learning experience that maybe affected you personally and or professionally?
I had a lot of learning experiences. One of my early trials, you read the transcripts after the trials, what did I do wrong, how did I get better? That was the case where I represented a young woman charged with theft against her ex-boyfriend. The facts weren't overwhelming for the state. The jury came back guilty on that, and I went through that one over and over again. I had sleepless nights, what could I have done better? So you learn from every loss, you learn from wins as well. On the bench, before I took the district associate bench, Colin Witt was a tremendous mentor of mine. He was on the juvenile court until he passed away. He had told me when I'm getting ready to apply, you're going to make a decision that's going to have a terrible outcome for somebody. You're going to return a child that's not ready to be returned. Something's going to happen, and you just have to know that that's going to happen, and you have to be okay with it. Otherwise, don't waste our time. Don't apply for that. That lesson came to fruition in one of the juvenile court hearings when he was going through cancer treatments. I was overseeing his courtroom. I returned a couple of children, and a 14-year-old threw a 2-year-old off a bed and he got a spiral fracture in his leg. And that was because of the decision I made. You can't control what people do. You have to make the decisions that you think are best at the time and know that sometimes bad things are going to happen.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hoiting.
A wise football coach told me once that on almost any play in football, a referee could call holding. What philosophy do you apply, and when do you call holding?
The head referee of the group kind of dictates what you want to do. The official that I worked with in college last year said our goal is 10 flags or less. If we can control the game by talking to the players between the plays, we can stay out of the game as much as possible. You're going to have games that get nasty where you need to get the flag out of your pocket and throw. Things you look for on holding, I'm on the line of scrimmage, so it's a lot of times when the run is coming towards my play. Is it at the point of attack? Did it affect the player? Did it affect the play? If it doesn't have an effect on the play, no matter how bad it is, you keep the flag in your pocket. So you have to kind of prioritize what matters. Did it have an effect on the play, and does it need to be thrown?
So you apply a harmless error standard.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schnur.
I wanted to follow up on the holding call philosophy, but I'm going to You started a law firm from scratch, right out of law school. Tell us a little bit about that and how that would influence you on the Court of Appeals, you think, if it would have an impact?
Sure, it was a lot of work starting from scratch. It was a huge risk. We started out with 4 partners that all graduated law school together. Within a year and a half, we were just down to Matt and I. Our first monthly paycheck, we each took home $726. That's what we took home for the month. We didn't have a secretary for the first 4 years. We had one phone for the first 6 months, and we'd be diving over each other to answer it because we wanted to get a new client. But we stayed strong. We built a reputation. We got clients that were friends or referrals from other clients that we did, and we built the firm the right way. So I take that work ethic, that mentality to the bench of I've been in the trenches, I've started a business from scratch, I've represented the clients that come before the court and have matters before this court. So I've got a lot of experience with the people and the business side of the law.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts,
No questions.
Commissioner Semmelroth,
No questions.
Commissioner Picklett,
No questions, thanks.
Commissioner Stanger.
Hi, Judge Kemp. Could you share a little bit, like Kathy's comment about the drug court and your comments that you made, and how important specialty courts are to the judicial branch here in Iowa?
Yeah, they're amazingly important to the judicial branch. We have 3 in Polk County. We have the Family Recovery Court, which is DHS or HHS involvement. We have Juvenile Drug Court. Well, we have 4. We have Adult Drug Court, and then we have a Young Women's Program that deals with female delinquents ages 14 to 18. That was a program that Judge Witt started and branched off from Juvenile Drug Court based out of a model out of Hawaii, because the research is saying young women are different. They have different issues that bring them before the court. They have different issues that need to be addressed in juvenile court to stop them from delinquent and criminal behavior in the future. So can we look at the individuals that are before here, and can we create a specially tailored program to help them so they're not coming back to us? Across the state, there's OWI courts, there's mental health courts, there's military courts, veterans courts, that's what I'm looking for. And the more you can specifically tailor courtrooms and services, more importantly, to the individuals that have specific needs, the better off we're going to be.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hanson.
I know that football is very important to you. Going forward, if you were appointed to the Court of Appeals, how would your officiating, would it continue, would it not continue?
Football is a hobby. Football officiating is a hobby. I'll give you an example. Last season, we worked NAIA games. We got paid $235 per game. I had a game at Kansas Wesleyan, which is 7 hours away, and it's a 7 p.m. game. I left Des Moines about 9:30 because we get there 3 hours before game time. Drove all the way out there, worked the game, and the partner I was riding with had to be somewhere the next morning, so we got home at 4 in the morning. So I was on the road for, 19, 20 hours for $235. So football is definitely a hobby. I'm passionate about it. I enjoy the work. It's important work, but this is my career.
Sure. Thank you.
Commissioner Spies.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was drawn by your comment about being a case law junkie. It sounds like a good song title. How do you use technology in your research?
Being one of the younger judges in Polk County, I've been people come to me for technology issues. I was on the juvenile court bench when COVID hit, and that was chaotic for so many reasons. Part of it was how do we transition to using more technology in the courtrooms, and then as COVID started to wane and it's over, how do we continue to take the technology lessons that we learned from COVID and move forward the positive aspects? So there are certain hearings that, let's say a child in need of assistance case, if a parent can take a 15-minute break from their work for a routine hearing, appear remotely by Zoom, make sure everything's going okay, and then move on with their day, that's a lot different ask than asking them to drive down to Polk County, finding a spot to park, waiting outside the courtroom, taking up an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of their day when we're really just doing a check-in. So as a whole, the branch has learned when we can use technology, how it can benefit people, and when we need litigants to appear in person. I get asked a lot of questions about Zoom. We were using GoToMeeting for a while. Hey, how do we do this? How do we do that? The electronic search warrant pilot project has made its way to Polk County. As the trial court judge, I was in chambers a lot. I think I did 45, 50% of the search warrants that came in electronically for the first 4 months. So people, other judges have to go on call to answer those calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so they're calling me the Friday before they get the phone, how do I do this? So I created a screenshot breakdown, a PDF of here's what the page looks like, circle the things that you need to do, things that you pay attention, just 8 others through technology.
Great, thanks.
And I see our time is up. Thank you so much, Judge Kemp, for your application, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.